Hey Jackie, hopefully this helps out a little bit, but mitosis versus meiosis or meiosis, people pronounce it differently. So with mitosis, these are kind of the main points right here. You get two identical cells. You go from one cell to two cells, and those two cells are exactly the same as the parent cell. Um, cells do this to make copies of themselves because cells need to replace themselves. Cells die, they get damaged, whatever. So cells, when they need to reproduce, this is what they do. So one cell basically makes a copy of everything inside of it and splits into two. That's it. The daughter cells are genetically identical to the parent cell, so this means that the DNA inside of those two cells that form is exactly the same. So again, with mitosis, you're just making two exact copies. It's like you're Xeroxing a cell. So you go from one to two. So the key difference between mitosis and meiosis, and I'm not sure if you need to go through the actual stages and learn those, but those are on here, and I can send this to you. But for meiosis, sorry, I don't want to zoom in. You get four cells instead of just two cells. And these cells are not the same as the parent cell. Now, all of the genetic information they have is from the parent cell, but it gets mixed up, and they don't have as much. The only cells that do this are sex cells. And they're doing this to produce gametes, sperm cells, egg cells. And they do this because this is, through sexual reproduction. It's two parents that are combining their genetic material to produce an offspring. Well, humans have 46 chromosomes, and if two humans combine their genetic material without going through meiosis, you're going to end up with 92 chromosomes, and then all of a sudden you're not a human anymore. So we need to. Each parent can only give half of their genetic information so that the offspring has one full set of chromosomes, 46 chromosomes, 23 from each parent. And that's for humans. Other organisms, they have different numbers of chromosomes. So it's similar to mitosis in that, the cells are making copies of their genetic material, and they are passing it down, but it splits off in a couple of key ways. And let's zoom in here and actually take a look. So in Prophase 1, this is one of those key differences here. So the cells have made copies of their DNA, as you can see right here. But now that they have those copies, there's actually sort of a crossing over that happens, and they share some of that DNA. So the chromosomes that you end up with, as you can see by the animation here, they aren't exactly the same. This copy now has some of this chromosome, and this chromosome now has some of this chromosome. So where you started up here, this organism only has two chromosomes, we're assuming. So it has this chromosome that, maybe it got from mom, this chromosome that maybe it got from dad. It makes the copy of the one from mom. It makes the copy of the one from dad. So now you have two copies of each chromosome, but then they share some of the information. So you end up with, you still have like this chromosome over here. It looks exactly like the one from mom. This one over here, it still looks exactly like the one from dad. But now this one has a little of mom and a little of dad, and this one has a little of mom and a little of dad. So now that they've shared some of that genetic information, they get pulled apart, and you have two daughter cells. Well, how many chromosomes does this daughter cell have? It has two. Okay, so it has the same amount as the parent cell, but as we can see, it is not the same as the parent cell. And this one is not the same as the parent cell, and they're not the same as each other. So we start off like that. We have two daughter cells. They have two different combinations of DNA. So two chromosomes, yes. Different chromosomes, yeah. Different combination of those chromosomes. So we have these two daughter cells, and now what they're going to do is it has this chromosome and this chromosome. It's just going to rip those apart. And it's going to say, okay, line up in the middle. you're going to go to this side, you're going to go to this side, you're going to this side, you're going to this side. And what happens? They split after they go to each side. And now each of these cells only has one chromosome. So again, this is the key thing. So now these are the sex cells now, the gametes. So when one of these from mom meets up with one of these from dad, you'll have one chromosome plus one chromosome, and now you have the complete number of chromosomes again that we started off with way in the beginning. We started off with each cell had two chromosomes. Our gametes, our sperm and our eggs, they only have one chromosome. And each one of these is different. So this is incredibly important. This is one of the main things about sexual reproduction, is you end up with genetically different offspring. With asexual reproduction, which is just mitosis, each offspring is exactly the same as the parent. The genetics, the chromosomes are exactly the same. There's no crossing over. There's no mixing up of the genetic material. But this sexual reproduction, you can see, oh yeah, you could get a different offspring every single time. And that's why we do get different offspring every single time. So hopefully that's helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. And if you want, we could also do a, like a Zoom call or something, and I can explain things a little bit in more detail. But I'll share this with you and the video.